Hello everyone, today we are going to talk about El Cid, who was later called El Campeador, which means invincible. He was a legendary Spanish knight. He was born in 1043 in a small town Vivar de Burgos, Castile. Legend said he was another self-made knight from very minor noble family, but it is known now from his mother's side he was connected to a great landed aristocracy, and he was brought up at the court of Ferdinand I in the household of the king's eldest son, the future Sancho II of Castile. Ferdinand I, on his death in 1065, had partitioned his kingdom among his various children, leaving Castilian throne to his first son, Sancho II, and Leon to his second son, Alfonso VI. When Sancho succeeded the throne, he nominated 22-year-old Cid as his standard bearer, Armingo Regis, or commander of his royal troops. This early promotion to important office suggests that the young Cid was already won a reputation for military prowess. In 1067, he accompanied Sancho on a campaign against the important Moorish kingdom of Zaragoza, today Saragossa, and played a leading role in negotiations that made its king Al-Muqtadir a tributary of the Castilian crown. In 1067, Sancho began to make war on his brother Alfonso VI with the aim of annexing Leon. Later legend was to make the Cid a reluctant supporter of Sancho's aggression, but it is unlikely the real Cid had any such scruples. He played a prominent part in such a successful campaign against Alfonso, and so found himself in an awkward situation in 1072 when the childless Sancho was killed by besieging Zamora, leaving the dethroned Alfonso as the only possible heir. The new king appeared to have done his best to win the allegiance of Sancho's most powerful supporter, though the Cid now lost his post as Amigo Regis to a great Mangate, Count Garcia Ordóñez, whose bitter enemy he became, and his former influence and court naturally declined. He was allowed to remain there, and in July 1074, probably at Alfonso's instigation, he married the king's niece, Jimena, daughter of the Count of Viedo. He thus became aligned by marriage to the ancient royal dynasty of Leon. Very little is known about Jimena. The couple had one son and two daughters. The son, Diego Rodriguez, was killed in a battle against the Muslim and Moravid invaders from North Africa and Cosiguera in 1097. The Cid's position at court was, despite his marriage, precarious. He seems to have been thought as a natural leader of those Castilians who were unconcealed to being ruled by the King of Leon. He certainly resented the influence exercised by the great landed nobles over Alfonso VI. It seems likely that the Cid's penchant for publicly humiliating powerful men may have been largely contributed to his downfall. Though he was later to show himself astute and calculating as both a soldier and politician, his conduct vis-à-vis the court suggests that resentment and his loss of influence as a result of Sancho's death may temporarily have undermined his capacity for self-control. And in 1079, while on mission to Moorish king on Seville, he became embroiled by Garcia Ordóñez, who was aiding the kings of Granada in an invasion of the kingdom of Seville. The Cid defeated the remarkably superior Granadian army at Cabra near Seville, captured Garcia Ordóñez. This victory prepared the way for his downfall, and when in 1081 he led an unauthorized military raid into the Moorish kingdom of Toledo, which was under Alfonso's protection, the king exiled the Cid from his kingdoms. Several subsequent attempts at reconciliation produced no lasting result, and after in 1081 the Cid never again was able to live for long in Alfonso VI's dominions. The Cid in exile offered his services to the Muslim dynasty that ruled Zaragoza, and with which he had first made contact in 1065. The king of Saragossa and northern East Spain Al-Muntamid welcomed the change of having his venerable kingdom defended by so prestigious a Christian warrior. The Cid now loyally served Al-Muntamin and his successor Al-Multazim II for nearly a decade. As a result of his experience, he gained that understanding of the complexities of Hispano-Arabic politics and of Islamic law and custom that would later help him to conquer the whole of Valencia. Meanwhile, he steadily added to his reputation as a general who had never been defeated in battle. In 1082, on behalf of Al-Qutamin, he inflicted a decisive defeat on the Moorish king of Lerida and their latest Christian allies, among them the Count of Barcelona. In 1084, he defeated a large Christian army under the King Sancho Ramirez of Aragon. He was richly rewarded for these victories and his grateful Muslim masters. In 1086, there began the great Almoravid invasion of Spain from North Africa. Alfonso VI, crushingly defeated by the invaders at Sagrajas on October 23, 1086, suppressed his antagonism to the Cid and recalled from exile the Christians' best general. The Cid's presence at Alfonso's court in July 1087 is documented, but shortly afterwards he was back to Saragossa, and he was not a participant in the subsequent desperate battles against Almoravid in the strategic regions where their attacks threatened the whole existence of Christian Spain. The Cid, for his part, now embarked on a lengthy and immensely complicated political maneuvering and was aimed to making him master of the rich Moorish kingdom of Valencia. The Cid's first step was to eliminate the influence of the Counts of Barcelona in that area. This was done when Berrigia Ramon II was humiliatingly defeated at Tebar near Teruel on May 1090. During the next year, the Cid gradually tightened his control over Valencia and its ruler Al-Qadir, now his tributary. His moment of destiny became in October of 1092, when the Qadi, chief magistrate Ibn Jahaf, with Almoravid political support, rebelled and killed Al-Qadir. The Cid responded by closely besieging the rebel city. The siege lasted for many months. Almoravid's attempt to break in failed miserably on December 1093. In May 1094, Ibn Jahal has been surrendered and the Cid finally entered Valencia as its conqueror. To facilitate his takeover, he characteristically first made a pact with Ibn Jahad, that led to later to believe that his act of rebellion and regicide were forgotten. But when the pact had served its purpose, the Cid arrested the former Qadi and ordered him to be burnt alive. Al-Cid now ruled Valencia directly himself, acting as chief magistrate over Muslims as well as Christians. Nominally, he held Valencia for Alfonso VI, but in fact he was the independent ruler in all but name. The Prince Princely status was emphasized by his daughter Cristina married the Prince of Aragon Ramiro, Lord of Monzon, and his other daughter Maria married Ramon Berenguer III, Count of Barcelona. The Cid continued to rule Valencia until his death in 1099. The great enterprise to which the Cid had devoted so much of his energies was to prove totally ephemeral. Soon after his death, Valencia was besieged by Almoravids, and Alfonso VI had to intervene in person to save it. But the king rightly judged the place indefensible unless he diverted their permanently large number of troops urgently needed to defend the Christian heartlands against the invaders. He evacuated the city and then ordered it to be burned. On May the 5th of 1102, the Almoravids occupied Valencia, which has now remained Muslim hands until 1238. The Cid's body was taken to Castile and reburied in monastery of San Pedro de Candena, near Burgos, where it became the center of lively tomb cult. The Cid's biography presents a special problem of historian because he was speedily elevated to the status of national hero of Castile, and a complex heroic biography of him in which legend played a dominant role came into existence. The legend was magnified by influence on the 12th century epic poem of Castile and Cantar de Mio Cid, the son of the Cid, and later Pierre Canieria's tragedy Le Cid. Well, thank you very much for listening and watching. As you can see, to be a great and legendary Christian knight, you don't have to fight Muslims, you can fight for them. So, thank you very much. Like it if you do, subscribe if you want to hear more. Bye bye.